Well, greetings. I'm Doug Cline, your host for Fire and Training, and welcome to another edition. Excited to talk about some things today that I think that are going to be very, very important to everyone. And the big thing that we're going to hit on today is how do we create an effective or a high-performance team? And I think that is a big, big piece for us, that if we're going to have a high-performance team, how do we go about this? And a lot of folks don't understand how to create a high-performance team. They want high-performance teams, but they never really just necessarily get to that point. So that's what we're going to do today and talk about that. And again, Fire and Training is dedicated to the men and women who are out in our streets 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 if it's every fourth year and leap year. But we try to provide the best information and knowledge to them. And for this edition of Fire and Training, we're really looking at developing teams, and that goes into the leadership component. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is that leadership is not about rank. It's about characteristics and traits. So as we're going through here, as we're talking about this is going to be kind of one of those pieces that I want to share with folks and to actually give you some information on. So as we move forward here, one of the things that I want to talk about is the whole model. And that model being one that has really 7 characteristics that are there. And the first one being that we want to have a clear purpose. We want to share the purpose, the vision of where we're going, what we're doing. So high performance teams have a clear understanding of the mission, the vision, of the goals, and how we're going to contribute to this overall effectiveness of the organization's mission. The shared vision provides direction and motivation of the teams, and that's critically important. And anytime we're setting goals, we need to be setting SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and of course, it's got to be tied to something with time. And that's something that we don't necessarily always do, is tie things to a time component. And if we do that, and then part of the problem there is going to be that we have somewhat failed and only made a wish. And, really we're trying to get to that. So part of what that requires in doing this is strong leadership in the team. It's basically giving clarity and direction and support, helping folks celebrate achievements, and giving them clear expectations. If you set clear expectations, you set SMART goals, and you set a direction, and you let folks know what you're expecting, you make it clear, then we support them along the way. We're definitely encouraging folks to be successful. Part of what we have to do in the middle of that is also we need to have good open communication, and that kind of will transition us into another conversation about communications in a little bit. But we oftentimes fail to actually communicate very well. We either don't give good expectations, we don't give clear expectations, we don't hear or listen very well to what people are telling us. So that becomes a very critical piece. Also, anytime somebody can provide communications back or has the ability to truly have dynamic conversation, provide their ideas or their inputs, they feel valued and they feel heard, and that helps them be more and more successful as we go. So as I said, each team member will have that responsibility in their clear role. So high performance teams, it takes a lot of folks to make the team. And I relate this to football because I'm a football fan. It takes, the offensive line executing what they have to execute in the blocking mechanisms. It takes the quarterback taking the snap from the center. It takes the quarterback being able to either hand the ball off or complete a pass to one of the receiving members of the team. So again, as we go through here and we set those clear roles, it helps the team be truly, truly successful in that. And again, as a leader, one of the things that you must provide is the ability to listen very well. We want you to be enthusiastic by all means. You have to be enthusiastic about what you're doing and how you're doing it, but also listening to folks. And then there's the sacrifice and the service. As a leader, you're there to serve the people. The most valued resource you have on your team are your people and their talents, their knowledge, their predicated skills, their abilities. Those things, that exist. So in doing so, you have to sacrifice. As a leader, you sacrifice a lot so that you make the team successful. And part of that sacrifice is helping the members of the team be successful and providing them the resources that they need and the direction they need, or any help or facilitation that they may need. And again, as a leader, it's about you taking responsibility, you being responsible, not making excuses of why you can't get something done or that you don't have time. It's about you take responsibility for all that stuff. Because basically in the world that we're in today, if you want to make change, you want to have a team that's having an impact, you want to, really focus and move organizations forward. As a leader of that team, as leaders of organizations, you must set the example. You have to be that example that's out there. So in leadership, one of the things that I will tell you that jumps out is that you have to have courage and determination, because a lot of times you're going to be battling against battles that, is going to be difficult, and people may not understand what you're trying to accomplish, especially when you're trying to get funding or something from an organization or a governmental agency or whatever it is. And understand that it takes courage to do the things, and it requires you to do the right things for the right reasons all the time. Additionally, leadership is actions and not words necessarily. It's important to have good words, and words do have meaning, but your actions speak a lot louder than words. And again, by you holding yourself accountable to your actions, you can then hold other people accountable for their actions or inactions maybe that they have. So remember this, a lot of times to lead, you got to kind of step away from the pack. You got to be the one that steps up. You have to be the one that has that courage to go out on the limb and say, hey, follow me, do this, those type of things. As I think about it, and I'm telling you to do this, no one needs necessarily permission to lead. You really begin leading because it's a movement. You're creating a movement. You have the right characteristics. You have the right traits. So that's important. All that stuff is very, very important as we look at it. Now, I'm going to bring to the one I said I will get to in just a second, which is communications. That's a big piece as well in this 7 group. High performance teams have an open and honest communications, and they have the channels that you can do that in, or the medians that you can do that in. And that allows folks to share information actively back and forth without fear. People actually listen to each other. They understand, they take time. They actually put themselves to where they're digesting what's being said. And when you need to provide feedback, you provide feedback. So communications is among one of the key factors for leadership and making sure that as you lead a team, you've got everybody on the same page. And that's important. And that includes the goals, that includes the tasks, that includes direction that you may want to go, the vision that's there. You have to constantly keep sharing your vision. High-performing teams encourage truly open two-way communications and clear communications so that you don't have misunderstanding. And that in the process, if you have good communications, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to foster collaboration. And again, through this collaboration, you begin building very, very strong work processes. So what's it take to actually effectively communicate? Well, in all the communication models that exist out there, basically the person that's going to send the message has to formulate the message. It has to be transmitted or articulated. It goes to a median. It's received. It's interpreted. And then where we fail is we fail to actually give feedback or confirm that we truly understand what was said. Now, here's what does happen in high-performing teams is that the leaders and the team members are not afraid to have difficult conversations. And a lot of folks shy away from difficult conversations simply because there's a history there, some type of relationship you may have between, being friends or something like that. A lot of people do not like controversy or conflict. Some folks in difficult conversations you may be having are very emotional about the topic. Those are the things that we run into that is difficult when we sit down in some of these difficult conversations. But realize to have a highly effective team, you must truly have difficult conversations from time to time, and it's okay. The biggest thing of it is I go back to saying you must truly communicate and have active listening and understanding and being willing to accept other people's points of view and maybe even change your point of view based on what facts and information they can give you. So in this, highly effective teams based on these first three develop strong collaboration efforts. They work effectively together. And as a team leader, I want to leverage each other's strengths and skills. In other words, Chief Brunacini taught me in one of the programs he did, and it was probably one of the most profound things that I carry with me today is I don't have to be the smart person in the room. What I have to do is surround myself and collaborate with the smart people in the room, with the people that are talented, the people that are skillful, people that have the abilities to do these things, and then work with them and let them do it. That's truly collaboration that we're looking at. And as we work on projects, as we work on vision, as we work on accomplishing the mission in organizations, this is truly, truly one of those pieces that you want. Now, by doing this, the next thing that we have to do, and you have to build this and you have to foster this from day one, is building respect and trust between team members and the groups working together. So you may have a bunch of team members. You may take those team members and put them in groups, and then those groups may have to work with each other to accomplish. So a culture of trust is highly, highly essential for high-performing teams. If you don't have trust, then you're probably not going to be a high-performing team. And that trust goes to the fact that you trust their abilities, you trust them to do the work, you trust them that they're on the same page for the common goals. A lot of times you can make sure this is going on without a whole lot of issue. So now, when you build trust, you begin to build that Maslow's hierarchy of needs with the psychological safety that's there. In other words, you feel affirmed, you feel safe, and you feel valued. So trust is the foundation truly of any of high-performing teams, any group that works, in a high-performance level, any group that's very successful. It's trust. And again, in that trust, they don't mind sharing their ideas. They don't mind getting feedback from you. They like honest feedback. They're willing to take a risk and try something different. A lot of organizations don't want to try anything different. God forbid we change something, that type of concept. We also don't beat or other people up that's on the team. We don't be ridiculing them. We don't talk negative about them. We foster that creativity and innovation that's important in collaboration. So high-performing teams, are we moving in that direction? Do you feel like your organization or your team is high-performing? If not, you need to take a look at what we've talked about so far and reevaluate it. And this next part of evaluation is accountability. Holding yourself accountable to doing the things that you should be doing. Holding your team members accountable. That's truly important. So team members in accountability, in a true accountability environment of a high-performance team, each member has accountability for themselves. They have accountability for the team. They help each other with accountability. They're responsible to each other. They answer to each other. They are committed to achieving the goals of the team, which is critical. So when we look at this, holding and working with each other to get this accomplished means that we have to meet deadlines. We have to meet the performance standards. We have to do all these things. And again, we have to be willing to be held accountable, and we have to be willing to hold people accountable. The first one is critical. You have to be willing to say, I want to be held accountable for what I'm doing. So as we're going here and going along, one of the most critical pieces that comes back, and I left this to the end, is we need to have continuous learning and improvement. As you're going through here, as your team is growing, as you continue to evolve, you continue to change, you continue to work on projects, you add other dimensions to your projects or to the goals that you're trying to accomplish, the SMART goals, then high-performance teams are committed to continuous learning and improvement. One of the slogans that we use in Horry County is we're committed to excellence. Knowing that you never achieve excellence, knowing that excellence is a goal, you're constantly trying to get better, you're constantly open to new ideas, willing to take feedback, willing to make adjustments, willing to try new processes, willing to enhance performance or try different ways to enhance performance. You're definitely one of these folks that when you look at it, I look at it as best as the standard. In other words, you're looking to be the best that you can be. And again, team members, when they're truly at a continuous improvement and adaptability and in that level, they're willing to change their mindsets. They're willing to grow. They're willing to do a lot of different things. So I want to give you a reality check at this point. This is kind of a quick one of my programs, but I think it was necessary after spending some time out and about on the road teaching and having some conversations with some folks and some great leaders and people that were striving to be leaders over the last couple of weeks. Having an opportunity to sit with them, I wanted to get this information out because a lot of people are trying to get a high performance team started. They're trying to make their team high performance, but they don't know exactly how. Well, these are basically the steps that you have to go through. And if you think about it, in the whole process of going through this, we are looking at the characteristics. If you have each one of these characteristics and you're doing these characteristics very well, you're probably going to end up with a high performance team. Now, again, selecting the right team members is important, but I want you to take a reality check. Where are you at? And if I've stepped on your toes, I don't apologize. I'm one of those folks that tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. But again, are you developing high performance? So I just ran through something very quickly, the 7 characteristics of truly a high performance team. This is one of the programs that I actually delivered on that little journey I was on, and had a lot of conversation and dialogue with some really great leaders and people that were striving to be in a leadership role and wanting to grow within that in their organization. So I felt it kind of calling on me to deliver this really quickly to y'all for the June fire and training video blog talk on fire engineering. Also, this is going to be airing on June the 2nd. We also want you to be able to see the fact that if you're interested in teaching at FDIC, that timeline is coming very, very close to the end of getting your stuff in. I highly encourage you to submit a program that you want to be able to teach, something you've been teaching locally or in your region. Send it in. Go on fireengineering.com, the FDIC website, and be able to submit your proposal and let those folks view. Also, I encourage you to write an article about what your ideas are and send it in. Fire engineering is always willing to take a look at your article, and they have folks who will help you fine-tune your article and multiple medias that it can go in for you to get published and to get your message out. So again, kind of quick, nothing spectacular, nothing crazy, but just something very quick to talk about high performance teams and the 7 characteristics to go with that. Very excited you tuned in. I'm your host, Doug Cline. Until the next time, stay safe, train hard, and remember, everyone goes home, and thank you for being part of Fire and Training.